This podcast, The Good, the Bad and the Vagina, is brought to you by me, Tess Lovely, a retired midwife, birth keeper, mother and sovereign woman. The views shared are my own and those of my guests. If something doesn't resonate, release it. It's not meant to upset or offend. If you feel discomfort, please seek support for your own healing. If you don't like what you hear, don't listen. This space honours truth, freedom and expression, protected under the rights to free speech. Welcome to The Good, the Bad and the Vagina. Let's get started. Welcome, Kemi, to The Good, the Bad and the Vagina. I'm so excited and happy to have you on here. It's like a dream come true. And as you know, my very best midwife friend, Ellie, has a girl crush on you, and I understand why. So what I would like us to do is
Hey, Ellie.
It's for us to have a chat, see how the conversation flows. But if you want to just do an introduction of who you are, what you're about, where you sit in the universe, and by the way, just so you know, all swearing is allowed.
Oh, wonderful. That makes me very pleased. I've got to choose my words well, though, because now that I've claimed cunt back in wonderful ways, because that used to be my favourite word. I'm sorry, guys. Fuck and cunt used to be the ones, but cunt definitely has been reclaimed. But anyway, I might not have a lot to swear about today, Tess, because I have been going through a process of acceptance that there are many people that just don't like women or what we're able to do. I think there's jealousy about our ability to take two cells and make a whole human. And so anything that is suboptimal to that, they would like to make it normal. Even like I've looked after so many women having wonderful IVF babies, and people are going to say, "Oh, don't go after the IVF." I'm not going after them. We're using what is available to be able to grow families. But what I hate is the way medicine have tried to make it normal, as if it's not a sign of health. Just like if if my skin's flaring up, I don't immediately think, oh, well, let me just leave a skin flare up. I try and find out what it is. Like, is it what I'm eating? Is it what I'm putting on my skin? Am I allergic to the person I'm sleeping with? I try and find reasons, and I just hate the way we're duped into, bleeding too much. Oh, just take this birth control pill. When you're 12, I'm feeling very resentful of our health being stolen in this way and it all being normalized. So, it's just, I've obviously been very vocal about my feelings about how childbirth is being sabotaged by the culture. It's not just those naughty midwives and obstetricians. I see women throwing women under buses about childbirth. So, just one mother to another. Oh, so why does it matter so much that you're breastfeeding? Yes, I have made milk in my body that I would like for my child that was made in my body, which has like numerous small proteins, and the cow juice that everyone's telling me is fine, fed is best. No, I'm annoyed. I'm just sick of us accepting substandard stuff for ourselves and our babies. I'm fucked off by it. I'm annoyed. And so as it's getting worse, not better, I'm just choosing, you know what? I'm just gonna I'm gonna be creating a bubble. So I've been out there trying to wake people up. It's tired. I'm tired. There was times I was posting like 3 times a day on Facebook, and then when I went onto Instagram, 3 times a day on that. Where's it got me other than exhausted and burnt out? So I'm just going to create my little bubble of juiciness where all of us are going to reclaim optimal health in so many ways. Optimal health in menopause, optimal health post-menopause. I'm just going to focus on that. Makes me happy. I'm going to do all my content creation for that.
Well done. I think that comes, I mean, there's a lot in there to sort of like think about, but I think that first of all, your door is always open. And if women choose to come and knock on it and walk through it, then that's their choice. If they have to be ultimately responsible for themselves. And
100%.
we would love to be here to change the world and to give the power back to women. But ultimately, we can take a horse to water, but we can't make it drink.
Yes.
So all we can do is sing our song in the most
Yes.
loving, positive way of how we
Yes.
present that, however that is for each individual.
Yes.
I don't mind. It's still a fair reflection of who and what you are, so it's absolutely fine. In terms of
I'm Kemi Joy-Johnson, and I'm a grandmother, and I'm a mother. My children are spectacular, a happy accident. I was not very intentional about making children or raising them. I was just very honest around them, and they have turned out to be spectacular adults, creating even more spectacular children of their own. So yeah, that's who I am, and I'm obsessed with childbirth and have been for about 30 years. Yeah.
I love that. I think you're the same as me. I've been obsessed with it for over 30 years. And it's addictive because it's continually, the more you get into it, the more you realize what a fuck up has been made of it. You know, like when I started my training, even back then, like the cesarean section rate back then was about 7%, between 7 and 10%. And even then, they were talking about how the interventions were too much and that needed to be addressed and targeted. And here we are, 30 years later, and the cesarean section rate is over 50%, and people are accepting that. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What has gone on here?
Yeah.
How deluded have the women, how duped, how gaslit, how blindly and magnificently have they been led down this path where they're now unable, 50% of them are unable to give birth normally, vaginally, naturally, physiology wise. Blows my head away.
It ought to, and I think it's the apathy that is probably doing me in the most. It's the apathy. You know, obviously, like you said, you know, we've been thinking about these things for decades. And I remember back when it was 7%, 5%, 7%, and babies were getting lacerations from the surgery. So now that we've accepted it at 50%, everyone's like, oh no, we're much better. No, babies are still receiving lacerations. There's a baby who had a scalpel through their genitals before they even emerged from their mother, who, you know, we're just watching, not we, you know, society's just watching this baby to see if they will ever be able to use their genitals. Malignant psychopath, because the lunatics are running the asylum, as we obviously know. And it seems the madder you are, the more sociopathic and narcissistic you are, the higher up this totem pole you climb. And I refuse to accept this inverted world. I'm not participating. So I'm finding my way to tap out. I'm not participating in it. No, piss off. I'm not going to be told that this is normal. None of this is fucking normal. So I'm not going to play around with everyone. I even, like, you know, there's a post that went viral. I won't describe it. Don't bother to look for it. It's not edifying. There's a post that went viral that I'm collaborating in, and every time I see another comment come up, I just want to uncollaborate from it, because it's the depths of hell, pit of ignorance, doctors, L&D nurses, NICU nurses saying, oh, well, breech birth is really dangerous. Oh, being pregnant beyond 40 weeks is really dangerous. They're just fucking liars. And I could spend my time trying to debunk their shit, but no, just say what you want to say. The sheep will listen to you and run off the cliff, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I've literally got to stop caring about it. I've got to stop caring.
I think that's the key, isn't it? Because that's what wears you out. When I was in the NHS, I was a real advocate, I believed. As best I could in that system. And I'm not saying I'm better now, and I'm my authentic self now, more like I was when I became a midwife, because when I became a midwife, I was more able to be an authentic midwife.
Yes.
And that was just eroding away and picking at me. And I kept fighting the fight, thinking, if I leave, then I'm just going to let everybody down, and I need to be in this system to fight it. But actually, it just led for me to get really targeted and annihilated.
Right. That's right.
And, Kemi, one of the pivotal points of me to the demise of my time within the NHS was I witnessed one of the most horrific births I've ever experienced in my life. And the scenario was I came on a night shift, and this midwife was looking after this woman, but she was there until I came on at 7 and she was working till 10. So I was told to go and do loads of check, but I would be taking over from that room. I went up to the midwife and said, do you need any help? Do you want me to help you at all? And she said, no, I'm all right. I'm all good in the room. Anyway, like a couple of hours later, I went and sat. I thought, I'll have a cup of tea before I go and take over. And I was sitting in the staff room, and the registrar was in the staff room, and this midwife came to the door and said, shall I break her water? Do you want to go and break her waters? Because the head's still high. And the conversation was that it was a first-time mum. She had a prolonged second stage. Well, their elements of prolonged second stage. They wanted to do an ARM, like break her waters. And the head was still high. And in my head, my alarm bells are ringing, thinking, don't break her waters. The head's high. There's a reason for that. The baby's not in a good position. Leave everything alone. Let it rotate. Let it come down. Well, and he went, yeah, I'll come and do it. And he got up and he went out, and I'm thinking, this is the case I'm taking over from. This is going to be a fucking shit show now. And he went into, I kind of was like saying, I don't think you should break her waters. I think you should leave it. But I didn't really know the depths of all the case. But I just sort of said, there's a reason why the head's high. Don't break her waters. It went off, and then they broke her waters. And all I could hear was blood-curdling screams from this room. Like, screaming. Every time she had a contraction, she screamed at the top of her voice. So I went to go in and take over at the 10 o'clock time, and they were just going to theatre for an emergency cesarean. And the scene I walked into was this woman, she had an epidural on board, could you believe? There was thick meconium, there was shit everywhere, the room was carnage, okay? She was like wailing around. Every time she had a contraction, she just screamed at the top of her voice. They were going to take her for a trial in theatre. It was an abnormal CTG as well at this point, well, obviously, because of all the stuff that they're doing. The midwife took the notes. She just basically gave me a brief verbal handover, took the notes, and then we went to theatre. And I kept just at that woman's head end. Every person kept asking me questions, and I kept going, I don't know, because I didn't care. I was focusing on her, trying to keep her calm, like, look at me, let's just breathe through this. If you don't want to do any of this, you don't have to do any of this. Then she'd get a contraction, scream at the top of her voice. Yeah. They carried on with all their procedures. The ODP kept moving me out of the way. The anaesthetist told me I was being obstructive. It was awful. Do you know, nobody was listening or seeing this woman other than me.
That's right.
And then the consultant came in, and they him and the registrar kept trying to put these forceps on this woman, and she was hollering at the top of her voice. And I kept going, you can ask them to stop, you can ask them to stop. And she was she was going, she was just like lost it completely. I don't even think she knew what was going on. And I was like going, you need to, and they kept carrying on, putting the forceps on, ramming them in, ramming them out, putting their hands in, talking. It was awful. And in the end, I just went, you have got to fucking stop. Like really shouted at the top of my voice. The consultant flung the forceps across the room.
No.
Shouted out GA, and I took the bloke out, okay, and then I went back in the room, got the baby, and then it was awful. She had a GA and took the baby out. When I handed the baby to this dad, he cried, and he said, "This is meant to be the best day of my life, and it's been the worst." What way to gift a baby to a parent? And it broke me. It fucking broke me. That was
that it?
So much around it. Because I just thought, this is what we're dealing with on a daily basis. That was the worst, but I was seeing that level of abuse and violence continuously. And just because the baby at the end of it was handed to a parent in a live state, they thought that was okay.
That was okay.
And honestly, I can't tell you the journey that unfolded after that, because it was fucking horrendous. And that was me. I was done. I was absolutely done.
When you said the journey that unfolded, is that for you? Is that the unraveling for you? Following
partly
that
for me. I mean, a week later, I was in a complete shock state. So I functioned. I was totally functioning. I could get up and brush my teeth and brush my hair and go to work. But what happened in that interim period? And then a week later, I got allocated this woman who'd been readmitted for pain relief because she was in so much pain. And it was her. It was the very woman that had had this thing.
Oh, God. Oh.
And she hadn't slept. She was in so much pain, and we just cried like for hours. The pair of us just cried together. And she wasn't in pain. She was traumatized, and that's what was manifesting in pain. That night, I looked after her. I looked after her baby. She slept like a baby because she'd offloaded. And I kept saying to her, you did nothing wrong. This was not your fault. What happened in that? And I said, you've got to complain. I put in a complaint. And there was a lot, and I kind of did all this stuff, and then she slept. I got in trouble for looking after the baby. And
what did they want you to do?
Well, they wanted me to carry on working out there and not me. I think it's because I was escalating the whole thing. So I escalated it, and it came back as all procedures were followed correctly.
Yeah, that's right. And
I just thought, fuck you lot, fuck off. Fuck the lot of you.
Yeah.
You do not care. You write all this pretty stuff on the walls about how the women are the focus of your care and informed choice and all that. But it's just utter bollocks. It's total bullshit about that, about how they write this, like draw this pretty picture of this magnificent unit that you're going to be walking into, but behind it is just total carnage and hell.
When this happened to this broken woman, and by some wonderful providence, you two ended up having a night together several days after. And she was able to get sleep for the first time. So the culture within the NHS punished you for really helping her. And she will also, I'm not making presumptions, I see it happen all the time, she will go back to her family and also be punished in a way. I've seen mothers and mother-in-laws kind of say, well, my birth wasn't like that. I gave birth, 40 years ago, and all my children slipped out. Or she might say, no, I was on my back in lobotomy. And yes, they used forceps, but it's fine. It's like our culture really accepts a very low experience, a very minimal, painful disrespectful, sometimes fatal experience of childbirth as being normal. Like, oh, you're lucky you're alive. So you could say this is how I was punished, but she potentially, most likely, has continued to be punished by partners. It's like my first birth outcome. My ex-husband ridiculed me over my birth outcome and it, sliding into the toilet of a cesarean that I didn't want. And I'm the only person in my lineage who's had a cesarean. So, I was ridiculed by my ex-husband, and I know this happens to lots of people,
I
and for that I'm
think
also upset.
I think that comes from the patriotic energy that came in like 10,000 years ago, where
Yeah,
in order for the patriotic energy to get control, it had to minimalize the female energy.
yeah,
And when you look at the historical unfolding of that,
mm,
and of course, my belief about male and female energies, don't you? That inside of us, in our core
mm,
essence of who we are as humans,
mm,
we are meant to hold in equal parts a
mm,
male energy, which is strong,
mm,
firm, immovable,
mm,
and solid, with
mm,
our female energy, which is loving, kind, intuitive, and bendy. And we hold them together, and then that gives us a fairly whole, stable human being. When we labeled us male and female, we adopted the male energy into the men and the
mm,
female energy into the female. And that's when the patriotic energy came into play.
mm.
And what that did is that it enabled the toxic side of the male energy, because it was men were out of balance, so their
Yeah,
toxic energy came, which is the control and
yes,
the violence, all those real toxic
mm,
male energies that we don't like.
mm,
And then because women had the female energies, we
mm,
became imbalanced and we became hysterical, bitchy,
mm,
judgmental and all of that. And that's what the toxic
mm.
female energy is.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
as
that makes
humans,
sense.
we need to regain and hold
Mm,
our male and female energies in balance with us.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so now women are coming back out and going, hang on a minute, the way we've been treated isn't right. What we
mm,
don't want is that full swing for the full
mm,
female energy to come into play. We want to be able to step into our female and male energy and
mm,
hold that in balance. And I think that if we are able to do that, then we will work harmoniously together on the planet. But
mm,
it's really difficult when you've got this complete misbalance of these energies, like where
mm.
men are
Yeah, I see what you're
desperately
saying.
hanging on,
Yeah.
to their control,
Mm,
because, and why wouldn't you? If you're in control of something, of course that's where you'd want to be.
mm,
And a lot of the women are so subservient because that's what they're used to. They don't feel they
mhm,
deserve any better. They just let it all
mm,
slide all the time.
mhm, mhm,
I
mhm,
was thinking, was talking about the reflection on the what's going on in the planet. If women ruled the world, we would
mm,
just have lots of countries that just wouldn't talk to each other when they fell out.
mm, mm,
But what we have is men ruling the world, and men
mhm,
fight each other when they
mm,
don't like each other.
mhm, mhm. Yeah,
And
I
what we
see it.
need is a balance of that male female energy so we can have an adult
Yes.
conversation about what's
Yeah, shall we
upsetting us.
do that? Yeah, exactly. Because not cooperating also is really harmful. But yeah, it's what can I say? I've reached this point where, seeking understanding of what's gone so horribly wrong seems to be like occupy my mind quite a lot of the day. And then my response to that is now becoming, okay, so what can you do in your hours in the day? What can you do in your relationships, your interactions, your neighborhood? But it's kind of a contraction of, we can change the world. It's like, okay, but maybe change yourself first and see how things go. So that's the quest I'm on, and it probably always has been. I got distracted by all what's been going on outside. And like when you were talking about the role that you were playing in established maternity services and how well you did with it. Um, I remember, maybe it's because I was a mature student when I came to it's my second career. It didn't take me so long to realize that I was flogging a dead horse in being a NHS midwife. And so I, comparative to most midwives, have really enjoyed being a midwife because, you know, I quickly pivoted away from the maternity system into becoming an independent midwife. So I got to, even when I'm comparing my journey, and I'm still livid, right? But when I'm comparing my journey through childbirth attending as an independent midwife and the power and the joy of it all, even when I'm sitting in a group of doulas, so I might be sitting in a group of doulas and other birth keepers. The doulas in particular, they're seeing the kind of shit that you're that finally, you know, basically took you out of the system. They're seeing the forceps getting waved around, people being coerced, shouted at, gaslit, abused, like rank abuse. Whilst for me, when I was a doula, for a handful of years, never as a job, but it was just I was just basically mentoring or being mentored in the birth room, really. Um, I just happened to be a doula for some independent midwives and kind of radiated out that way, and people would recommend me, etc. So I was mostly at home births, hardly ever at a hospital birth, and then obviously almost killed myself going through the training because of all the abuse. And then, you know, being very picky, like saying, oh, I'm not comfortable here, I'm not comfortable there, tried a couple of trusts, and then left and went independent. So I feel really lucky to be energized by childbirth. How did you find, how were you able to maintain this joy and trust in a system that was so fucked up?
So a lot of the time, I just ignored the outside noise, which is something I tell women to do an awful lot when they're on their birthing
Yeah,
journeys.
yeah.
So, for example, I have had hundreds and hundreds of incredible, beautiful birth experiences where
Mm,
I'm able to shut out the outside noise. And, you know, like, for example, I got allocated a woman and I opened the door, and the first thing she said to me is, I don't want to tear. And I went, well, okay, then we'll just breathe your baby out.
mm,
And then we'd go in and I'd put her in the pool. And then I'd just quietly say, you know, the guidance is that we need to listen in every 15 minutes, but it can be quite interruptive with your normal process of birthing.
mm,
You can request when you want to be listened into. It's entirely up to you. It's your birth. What
mm,
would you like to do? And then they go, oh, I'll ask when I want to be listened into.
mm.
And actually, that's how women midwives need to be presenting that information, whereas they're not presenting it in that way.
No.
So then I would just, you know, sit, and I literally would just give eye contact. And then this woman would just look at me and then go, I think my baby's been born. And I'd go,
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
you need to get
wow.
up then. And like in the water, and then she'd pick this baby up and, you know, and then I'd go out and people would go, oh, you're lucky. And I'd be, it's not fucking luck. It's the
No.
gift that
Yeah.
I just respect and hold space in that arena,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
remember a midwife once saying to me, because I would always say to when I was a community midwife, I'd always say to the mums, if you can wait until 7 o'clock to ring me, wait till 7 o'clock. But if you really need me before, ring me and I'll
Mm.
come. And they would 9 times out of 10 wait until 7 o'clock, and then I'd go in, help them have their baby, and then go in and take placenta. And I can
Yeah.
remember saying this once to a midwife, and she said, "Well, so they got no care then." And I think when they probably got better care than you lot, fucking shoving your
Uh,
fingers in their fanny every 4
yeah,
minutes.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But I would empower the women. And if you can
yeah,
empower the women, it makes your space so much easier to work with.
yeah, it
And just to
does.
hold that space because you're empowering them to step into their power.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I locked horns a lot with managers and with it depends. Some head of midwifery that I had were
Mm,
awesome. Like I
mm,
can't deny I had one particular head of midwifery, Sue Cole, and
mm,
she was brilliant. Like
mm,
I was on call for my women all the time. I had a really good home birth rate. This was in the early 2000s, like that
mm,
kind of era.
mm,
Um, I birthed was at births of all my women on my caseload as much as I could. We did dominoes, we did all sorts. It was a perfectly beautiful place to be having a baby at that time.
mm,
If from my perspective on how I held space.
mm.
Um, but it's not like that now. They get a 20-minute appointment. They put all this shit on the walls about knowing your own midwife and continuity care. Do you know how they tick the box for continuity care? Is
Go
that
on.
whoever books you at your beginning of your pregnancy, that you get to see them again in your pregnancy.
Once.
It only has to be once to classify as a continuity care.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's a real minimal amount. As long as you've seen the same midwife, the midwife that books you is your allocated name midwife. And if you see her again, it will tick a box for continuity. And if you see
Yeah,
them postnatally as well, then you're ticking all the boxes there, kiddo.
it's so
It's
deceitful.
ridiculous.
It's really deceitful. Really,
And a
really
named
deceitful.
midwife is just a name on a piece of paper. There are some midwives like Ellie who is so desperately hanging on, like I was, hanging
Yeah,
on to
yeah,
providing the care that they believe is really good for the women. But
yeah,
you just get targeted by your
yeah,
managers because inevitably your clinics will run over because you're giving the care that you need to be given.
yeah.
You are going out of your way. You have vicarious trauma because you feel like you're letting the women down constantly, like the
Mm,
debriefing and the stuff that I have to speak through with Ellie is just,
mm.
it's sad. It breaks my heart. The letters that you write, and I would constantly complain and moan and write, and she's constantly complaining, writing and moaning, but they're just pieces of paper that float off into the ether because nobody cares.
No,
The infrastructures that are in there that supposedly to protect the women, like the NMC, they're not there to protect the women. They're
no.
there to protect the system.
Yeah, that's right. 100. There was a there is a very good midwife in the NHS, and she had breech skills. She has skills to be able to support breech birth vaginally. And push comes to shove, she was being told by her managers she couldn't attend a breech birth in the community setting. And so she thought, well, the woman's asked for it. I'm skilled at it. So I'm going to go to Nursing and Midwifery Council and get their support to be able to support this woman who wanted a vaginal birth. So she went to the Nursing and Midwifery Council and they said, we won't support you if you attend that birth because your employers will be the ones that need to make payments if there's an error. So if they say they don't want you to support the breech birth, you mustn't support the breech birth. And if you do and things go tits up, we won't support you. So that directly is the opposite to what the code says. So
Yeah.
they wrote the NMC codes. The midwife signed to basically prioritize the code in her practice, which says to prioritize the woman and the baby. And whatever the woman says, if you've got the skills to do it, do it. All of that went out of the window because she was an NHS midwife. So I said, well, your employer says you can't go, so you can't go.
Yeah, the NMC are on notice anyway, I think. Big thing. I can't
Great.
talk too much about it. I think
That's
it's
so
shocking.
great. That's so great. Oh,
Yeah, I think it's really shocking that, like I said, they just write stuff on the walls and then they don't adhere to it at all. And
no.
it's that control and the guise of it being done under safety. We're
Mm,
doing all of this for your well-being. Well, if you're doing it for our well-being, why is our cesarean section rate at 50%?
yeah. But apparently that's for our well-being. Apparently
How is
that's for
that?
our well-being. Cutting us open is for our well-being. Yeah.
I think we're just going to start seeing the implications of cesarean sections on a long-term health now
Wow.
for women.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that a lot of women will end up with a lot more hysterectomies, that sort of
Yes.
stuff.
Yes. Yes. But also the gut issues. So if it's gut,
Yeah,
it's going to become a mental health issue, relationship issues, career issues. How far do we get in our careers? What's the psychological effect of planning an amazing birth, using your vagina and then being left feeling that there's something about you that's very different, that's abnormal? Because
yeah,
I remember the shame I felt. I wouldn't even tell anyone I'd had a cesarean.
yeah. I think that's so sad. That breaks my heart because when I was like I think our children must be of a similar age. Like Amber was
Mm.
born in 1990.
Yeah, that's my first
And
child,
yeah,
35.
I can
Yeah,
remember, like, obviously, if anybody had a cesarean section then, your first question was, oh my God, are they okay? It was like
yeah,
life or death.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And now if somebody has a normal birth, they go, oh my God, are they okay?
yeah. That's right. That's right. Honestly, you've nailed it. You've nailed it. I'm sure in 1990, um, because the systemic racism has never gone away. It's just kind of because there's a torch being shone on it. Everyone's trying to act differently, but the reality is that there was no one there that cared enough about my outcomes to help me avoid the cesarean. I
No.
wouldn't have doubted that even in 1990 there'd have been a disproportionate amount of othered women having them, because it was still a very small percentage in those days, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
um 5%. And
And do you know
imagine
what? They would have still blamed you, Kemi. They'd have said that your pelvis was the wrong shape.
they would have done, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So
Because apparently you haven't got
I
a normal shaped pelvis.
yeah, even though, like, all my lineage were having like 15 babies at home, it's just all shackled in the bowel of a ship. A baby would still be born. They were shackled. Do you remember those little shelves that they kept the slaves on in the ships, that they
Yeah.
could fit in as many as possible? And a woman would be pregnant and give birth on that. Yeah. So that would have happened. That was happening over like 400 years. So that would have happened several times in my lineage, right? Or in a barn with basically no food. So can you imagine the projectile crying that I did? And of course, I had postpartum depression. Of course. What's wrong with me?
Of
And
course you did.
there's nothing wrong with me. I was fucked by the system. I was fucked by the system. We know 50% of women minimum.
When
Well,
you
all
went
of them
in,
are being fucked by the system, to be honest.
like I think the 90s was when there was a bit of a starting a turn of, like when birth was moved from the home to the hospital, as we know, without
Mm.
any evidence to say it was safer.
Yeah,
And we all know it
absolutely.
was about control and
Yeah,
ownership and all the rest of it.
yeah,
Going into hospital, me as a young white woman,
yeah,
I went in under the belief that I had to have my first in hospital.
yeah,
There was no choice. That's what I had to do, and that was what you did.
Yeah.
And I got in and I was 7 centimeters, and
Wow.
the woman said, "Oh, you're 7 centimeters. Well, just pop your waters." And I went, "No, no, no." And she popped them. And I was like a caged animal for the next 4 hours, like going,
Oh,
"I've been violated." Very
yeah.
dramatic. And I do think at times I can step into the drama queen badge.
No,
But you,
you know, we've labelled that as dramatic.
yeah,
You were violated.
I was violated. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a big thing.
If you'd walked in that scenario, you wouldn't have even been seen.
No, really. But unfortunately, they used us to experiment with their stupid inductions, and they would
Yeah,
just deceive us into saying yes. And, you know, trauma, how it radiates through generations. A lot of Black women were silent about their reproductive lives at the time. And definitely it wasn't the subject for conversation between mother and daughter at that time. And so, yeah, I just feel like now what we can do to reclaim this is keep talking as much as possible, like create those circles where, I was in a circle here, in East Africa. I was in a circle a couple of days ago, and I was speaking to the circle about maiden to mother to Marga. And it was a beautiful, vibrant circle, lots of tears and laughter. And then we each gave a message to the maidens. So if that happened once in the lifetime of a woman, it's unforgettable. Honestly, the feedback that's come back from that session, I I think all of us need to be getting together. Just women talking. That's all. Just women talking. I think that will go a long way
absolutely.
to helping
Yeah.
turn this ship around. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. In my studio that I've got, I will be holding circles and groups and things like that. And I'm really hoping that it will become a community hub for that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I have to say
Perfection.
that at this point, Kemi, and I can't not say it because it's been on my mind for like ever. You and Shelley are awesome. I have to say, I love listening to your podcast. It is my go-to recommendation for everybody because I love the conversations, I love
Mm,
the language, I love the way that you dissect everything. I love the fact that it's backed up with research. Me and Ellie are a bit like you and Shelley. Like
yeah.
Ellie's really hot on research, and I don't believe in it at all because I think I can get a piece of research to prove anything that I want.
For
And
real.
most of the research that is used to leverage women into care is biased and been funded and supported by big pharma drug companies
Yeah.
and things like that
Yeah.
anyway. So I'm not hot on research, but Ellie really is. And so I use her, but I see that with you. You and Shelley
Yeah.
remind
Oh,
me of
yeah.
me.
Yeah. 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 Because much as I've always been reading it, critically analysing it, etc. And I can definitely find research to support my ideas. I just know that the hunches are coming from skewed places. The money for it is coming from dodgy places. Um, and it will be ignored. The good stuff will be ignored anyway, like the Affirm trial.
Back to the point of you and Shelley and how much you bring joy to my heart with all the brilliant things that you say, how much I refer women to you because I think it's so informative. But I love the words that you use. I love that Shelley keeps saying fingering every 4 hours and you talk about being fisted. I
Yeah.
love it.
I think it's really good. I'm really glad that you approve, to be honest. Oh,
Hello. There was an abrupt ending to that recording. It was recorded some time ago, and Kemi was in East Africa at the time, and the signal was really bad and it kept dropping out. It was an incredible, interesting talk that we had, and we have gone on and shared many, many more conversations. And Kemi has promised that she will come back and do another podcast. The most wonderful thing about having Kemi on is that Shelley is also coming on, and those two women are incredible and doing such amazing things for the birthing arena. And I just want to honour and thank them for their time and their understanding and support and the love and how much they honour birth. They are incredible women. I would also like to let you know that Kemi has promised she will come and do another podcast, so that's amazing. It was challenging doing that podcast because there were some things that came up for me, as you heard, in and around some of the things that have gone on for myself and for the things that I've witnessed within the NHS. And that in point is the reason why I am now a traditional birth worker, and I have handed in my PIN because I cannot see what's happening to the women and stand by silently and witness what's happening. Not that I ever did stand by silently. I think women, you really need to be stepping into your power. It's so important. You need to be informed. You need to be listening to the things that Kemi and Shelley are saying. You need to come and tell your stories on platforms like this. It's so important that we all start speaking our truths, because these changes that we need will only come about if we all stand united. As anybody who knows me, they know how heartbroken that I am no longer a midwife. In many ways, it was something that I ascertained to, as I believed that being called a midwife or being labelled a midwife meant that I could be with women. That's what midwife means. However, the system has eradicated and eroded that terminology, and now there are many midwives in the system, as Kemi rightly says, that are midwives. Do what you will with that statement. There are obstetric nurses as well, and a lot of midwives that are being in training now are actually being trained to be obstetric nurses. But that in point doesn't mean to say that you cannot achieve the birth that you want to have. I would highly recommend that you seek the support of a doula, somebody who is going to be your advocate during your birthing process. With the best will in the world, many men are stepping back into that role and doing a great job. But it's their first time within a system, and that's where the challenge lies. Working with doulas who have had lots of experience within that system, they approach challenging the system in a different way. And so I would urge all of you to seek the support of a doula. I would also urge all of you to get yourselves educated. And I'm not talking the sort of education that you get in the NCT classes. I am not talking about those. I am talking about classes that are run independently by ex-midwives or experienced doulas, people who know how to navigate that system, people who believe in birth, people who believe in women's powers to birth. I cannot stress that enough. And I would also urge all of you to do the research that is relevant for you, because what one person thinks is the right thing for them is something completely different from another person's perspective. I also urge men to really embrace into this, because I hear a lot of men saying, I trust her, whatever she wants. And actually, they would spend lots of times researching anything of interest for them, whether it be fishing, football, motorbikes, cars. They would spend hours researching that sort of thing. This is the most momentous occasion of your life. This is so important that you, as a male, are informed so that you fully understand it. There's As the woman's oxytocin levels rise towards the end of her pregnancy, she's so easily influenced by many things, and fear that is fed in little teaspoons feels like a ladle of fear landing on them. And your role as the protector is to stand in that arena and say, we've done our reading, we've done our research. Thank you for your information. We're okay. When we need you, we will call you. All the little things that they do under the guise of safety are interference. I speak to women a lot about stepping in their power circle. When you're in your power circle, you know what is going on in your body, and then you can reach out for help when it's important and needed for you. So I am here for those that need me or I resonate with. There's Kemi, there's Shelley, there's lots out there. I'm really in a belief system now that we need to reconnect and we need to create our communities. So if you are in Devon and you're anywhere near Torquay, please come along to any of my classes because I would love to be able to support you there. I do believe the connection is going to be integral for our growth and development in the future. The modern things of technology are brilliant and bringing us such great things, but we human beings need to connect. And I would urge you to get your community around you and get the community that shares your belief system. We all know that you need to be surrounded by people of influence. So if you want to improve in your circumstances in life, then you go and find people that are in the next level up and you hang around with them because that's where you learn and you grow. So if you are on the birth arena, you've just discovered you're pregnant, you're somewhere along on your pregnancy journey, you need to be getting a community of women and like-minded people around you so that you can be supported with each other. I'm holding things like baby circles, home birth circles, pregnancy circles, all of those sorts of things. They're so needed, and I cannot urge you enough to get your community together. And it's not just the community of your family, because sometimes your family aren't going to share your values and views. They will be working on fear, and they will also be working on wanting their experiences validated. Like, I had a cesarean, it didn't do you any harm. This isn't about what other people have done. This is about you and your journey and saving your life and your integrity and you coming out as a whole being at the end of it. You stepping into your power. As I said, unfortunately, the clip with Kemi was cut short because of a connection issue. I just wanted to come on here at the very end just to give you a few more snippets about what I'm about, what Kemi and Shelley and all the wonderful doulas and people that are coming on here. There's been Nat, there's been Caroline, there's, honestly, so many people that are coming on and sharing their stories. And I am in awe of every single one, and I learn something every time I do one of these. And if I'm still learning, then you can come and join and share and learn. This platform is about people telling their stories, the good ones, the bad ones, but it is about the vagina, as we know. And I just want to keep this going with the love and the joy and the positive intention that it's meant to bring to you, which is information from people's hearts. As I said in the session with Kemi, I can honestly say that research doesn't really do it for me too much. I get research, I quote research, I provide you with evidence and research because I know there's a lot of people who wholeheartedly still believe that it's an integral part of your knowledge building. But you can get a piece of research to prove anything that you want. And I wholeheartedly believe that all your answers are in here. They lie within you, which is why I created Birth from Within. Because whatever you are doing in your life, you are birthing from in here. Listen to yourself as to how your journey wants to unfold. I just want to wish, as always, everybody just the biggest heartfelt love. And I hope that you vibrate really highly with love in your life. And then when you find that love, you know the next version above love is joy. And joy is where we are striving to go. So I'm wishing you so much love and so much joy through all of your pregnancies, through all of your birth journeys, and for your parenting. I hope that you have a magical, empowered, just the most awesome epic birth that you could potentially ever dream of. And if I can support any of you along on that journey, please do come and see me. Please get in contact with me at Birth From Within. Please contact people like Shelley and Kemi and Nat and a doula and everybody I know. Anybody who's linked on my Instagram, search out people near you, but just step into your power. Remember that you have a knowing inside, and all of that evidence is knowledge at a library. It's all stuff you already know. You're just retapping into it and reminding yourself of your power in here. So trust your instincts, trust love, trust joy, and go and have an amazing birth and parenting journey. And I wish you all the very best. Big love.